Hi, welcome to Chronicles of Nani. I'm Nani. This is my cyber coffee shop, and it's the place where I usually talk about my life with progressive MS and my life in a wheelchair. And I welcome anybody who can identify with chronic disease or being in a wheelchair, or if you have a friend or loved one in that same situation. It's a great place to find the happy, even in what seems like the worst of situations, that there's always something to smile about. And today is Music Day at the Cyber Coffee Shop. We're going to talk about music, but first, coffee. Today's coffee is in my Confederate Naval Museum coffee mug, which is not called the Confederate Naval Museum anymore. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. But it's someplace that we went in 1989 when Mom and I went down south, when we were in Columbus, Georgia, looking through the different things that are available to do in the area. Mom found the Confederate Naval Museum, and she said, "This I want to go to," because Mom's thing was boats, and it was Confederate boats or remains of Confederate boats, so we had to go check it out. We went to the Confederate Naval Museum, where there are the remains of the CSS Jackson and Chattahoochee. They were both sunk on purpose by the Confederate Army to make sure that the Union Army could not get a hold of their boats. They sunk them on purpose. Years later, the remains of the boats were brought back up. And, well, during the Civil War, the boats were pretty much wood, and they don't fare so well sitting underwater in the Chattahoochee River for years and years and years. So it really was just the remains, the wooden remains of the boats. It was still kind of fascinating to go and see those boats. There was a little bit more of the Jackson than the Chattahoochee left, but it was still fascinating. The Confederate Naval Museum is, well, it was an outdoor museum when we were there. It was just the remains of the two boats, undercover, but everything was outdoors. If you go now, it's a large building, and it is now renamed the National Civil War Naval Museum. The remains of those two boats are now inside in this huge building that has other artifacts and information, and someday it might be interesting to go back and see it, just to compare the two. Because in 1989, it was a really fun outdoor museum to go and walk all the way around the remains of the boats and check them out, and it was pretty cool. The Civil War represents a difference of opinion between two parts of the United States. They actually got to the point where they were maiming and killing other people, causing just incredible destruction and loss of life over disagreement. Some will say it's states' rights, and some will say it's slavery. The states' rights thing was the states' rights to have slaves. So it was a lot over slavery. When the Constitution was originally written, there was not going to be slavery. One of the things that was written into the original Constitution was that there would be no slavery, that servitude and specifically purchasing human beings and bringing them in from Africa was an absolute no-go. In the original Constitution, there was not going to need to be a civil war because there would be no slavery. But there were mostly southern states that said, we're not signing a constitution, we're not letting this whole country thing start. If you're taking away our the slavery, that's going to hurt us economically. Owning people hurt you economically. But so that's a concession that was made. The original Constitution, there was not supposed to be slavery. And the concession made was that, yes, slave owners could own slaves and do as they see fit with the people that they purchased. But the Constitution was made to be a living, growing document that make the concessions now, and as the document grows, as the country grows, then we fix things that should have been in the original Constitution. The United States has a shameful history of actually killing people over disagreements. We've assassinated other people. We've assassinated presidents or attempted to assassinate presidents because we disagree. The truth is, in a representative democracy, you have a choice. You can vote. You don't have to vote. If you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain about anything. You had your chance to say something. You chose not to say anything. You don't get to say anything else. But also, if you vote, the people and the issues that you vote for are not on the winning side. You've had your say, and you need to accept that you are not in the majority this time. You'll get another chance. You'll get a chance to vote again. Some things we get a chance to vote on more than once. If they fail the first time, an issue will come back up in a few more years after some more debating has gone on. But you get a chance to vote on it. You might get a chance to vote again. You certainly get a chance to re-elect, or let me give it another try and try elect somebody else again. So you can complain. You have the right to complain, but the right to harm people, that you don't have. If you harm people, or if you incite people to harm people, that's a crime. And that's something you don't have the right to do. So like I said, it's Music Day. And the Confederate Naval Museum and the story that goes with that has a lot to do with today's song. Today's song is The Great Divide by Luke Combs. If you'll notice in the notes on YouTube, and you'll see some little things that'll show up on YouTube that you can click on later to see the video with the words to the song and a brief note from Luke Combs at the end of it. I can't legally show you those, but I can give you the links to them. But Luke Combs will tell you that I don't mean this to be political, it's just an observation. And it is an observation. Our country's in trouble. This is something that he wrote in 2020, and it was supposed to be part of a bluegrass album that he was doing with Billy Strings. That's sort of on the back burner now, but he still wanted to release this song. And he's a relatively big name in country music. And the Great Divide lyrics are not really common country music lyrics, because it's noting things that are not perfect in our country. And country music is usually more, yay, USA, everything is fantastic. And the truth is, everything is not fantastic. Everything is not perfect. And the Great Divide talks about that. Here are the lyrics. I'm not going to sing them because I don't sing that well. We're striking matches on the TV, setting fires on our phones, bearing crosses we believe in, dying on. Tempers flare, the flame flies higher as we soar closer towards the sun. But I like to think too much damage ain't been done. We're all so far apart now, it's as deep as it is wide. We're about to fall apart now, if we can't reach the other side. We gotta find a way across the Great Divide. Sometimes it seems that our convictions, side of the fence that we stand on, makes us all too damn different to get along. But I've seen strangers love each other like a mother loves her son. What we see ain't only all that's going on. We're all so far apart now, it's as deep as it is wide. We're about to fall apart now. If we can't reach the other side, we gotta find a way to cross the Great Divide. The Great Divide. Now, I will encourage everybody to follow the link to the actual song with the lyrics on it. There's not an actual video. He didn't do an actual video for it, but he did do a video of the lyrics to the song, and you get to hear the song. Luke Combs sings so much better than me, and the actual tune is different than I read it, because like I said, you don't want to hear me try to sing. It is a great song, and it's very strong lyrics. Luke Combs sticks to his convictions. He observes things and speaks out about what he's observing. In the posting that he made talking about the song, he said, "I'm not trying to be political. It's observations." And his biggest observation is, we've got a serious problem in a form of music where that kind of thinking is against the rules. Luke Combs still talks about what he sees and what's troubling him. He's got, my opinion, big enough footballs to say what he means and not lie about it, and to not use something mind-altering in the way of drugs to keep the quality of what he does. The one line in The Great Divide that really gets to me, the first time I heard it, it made me tear up, and it still quite often will make me feel kind of teary-eyed, put a lump in my throat, is I've seen strangers love each other like a mother loves her son. And that's true. When you see somebody that needs help, you don't think about, wait a minute, are our politics different? Or you just help them. You may have completely different opinions of something that you're passionate about. Don't know and don't care at that point. The challenge for this music vlog is, think about somebody or an instance where someone who has completely different big opinions than you do, but you still love and respect them. One example that I will give is our used to be next door neighbor. We have a different next door neighbor now, but back in 2016, she had a large Trump sign on her front lawn. It made me kind of shudder. My opinion, I'm entitled to it. You're entitled to yours. But at the time, my husband works in the media, and there were some times that he was sent out to cover something that had to do with political or a political visit. I started to know what the spouse of a first responder feels like. If you are married to somebody who is in the fire department, a police officer, and you know that there is a possibility that when they say goodbye, it may be the last time. They could get hurt, they could get killed in the line of duty. No one would have ever thought that a writer for the newspaper in the United States of America, where the free press is part of our Constitution and protected, that would be a job where, if it's what your spouse does for a living, that you would be concerned about their safety. And yet, the person who started that great divide way back in 2016 about the press being something you couldn't trust, and creating that kind of animosity for people who worked in the media, and made it scary. And our next door neighbor is saying, rah, rah, this is the guy to vote for. And I'm saying, this is the guy who wants my husband dead. My husband does work in news, so that was something that was a fear of mine. And the next door neighbor has a great big sign saying, that's okay. But the truth, she was our next door neighbor. Whenever either one of us was outside and we saw her, there was always a friendly hello and, just a good neighbor relationship. Even though our opinions were so incredibly different. But we still had a good, friendly relationship. When she was out and my aides were coming in, if she saw them as they were coming in, she would stop them and she would say, thank you for taking care of my neighbor. Plus, our cat Marco and her dog Domino were great buds. And a cat and a dog being buds, that's another great divide, isn't it? Before Luke Combs had the guts to write about it, it was already happening. There were already people crossing that great divide and saying, yes, we can have very different opinions, and we can still treat humans like humans. We can still love each other, we can still be friends with each other. We can still be kind to strangers and not know what their opinions on those big issues are. And that's fine. So here's the challenge for the music vlog this time is, what about you? Is there someone that you know, that you trust, that you love, that you know has a diametrically different position than you do, but you care about them and love them anyway? You treat them with decency and respect, even though you have very different opinions on something that you consider as pretty big. Use hashtag Nani Music too, and you can leave a comment on YouTube or whatever format you watch Chronicles of Nani on. If you put that hashtag, I will find your answer. I'll even respond to your answer. I hope you've enjoyed talking about music today, and especially the Luke Combs song, The Great Divide. One of the songs I consider one of my favorites in the last few years, because it is a song that makes you think. It's also just a song musically that I like. You can join me for coffee anytime, 24/7. I'm always here. If it's on YouTube, it's there forever. So join me for coffee and leave that hashtag Nani music too. Comment wherever you're watching the vlog, and we can talk some more. But right now, I'll be back next week with something new. Thanks for watching.